किस किस को बताइएगा जुदाई का सबब हम, किस किस को बताएंगे जुदाई का सबब हम, तुम मुझसे खफा हो तो जमाने के लिए आ. uh, it reminds me of my poem written almost on 25th June 2011 at 1 p.m. So I'm going to recite that. Deceptive delights of ravishing carnal robe that infatuates you over the sands of time. Intense myth you uphold at crossroads of shimmering fest on the day of days, as sweet aroma caress, a shadow that I am, of object farthest remote, a shadow that I am, of object farthest remote, endless light years away, where time doesn't belong. But you can reach me, but you can reach me on saddest violin note when lovely moons bathe and oceans of nectar gushing. You are watching 80th Sunday Renaissance show of Sheetalnath Conversations. Today we are in the beginning of the January, chilling January month, and since few days, probably a fortnight or so, we are infested by this, uh, dense smoke, dense mist uh, all across, and it has made our life a bit of indisposable in terms of vision and other things. But January as it is, it's known as a beholder of the nostalgia of the past year, and also you know the kerosene hope for the remain of the year. I think Germany is also probably it has been it is worked out. It has come out from the Janus. Janus, the word comes from the Janus, and Janus is, as we all know, is a Roman god who symbolizes this past and the future. With the same spirit of January, we in Shitalat conversations we try to elicit the entrapping anecdotes from the enigmatic receptacle, of time. A peregrinate out of out and out, you know, Odyssey, an enchanting tete-a-tete that moves across the misty base of our civilization. Our narrative is a very honest recall of the times through a very very first hand experience, first hand witness, and it has been elucidated by the men and the people of wonderful, great experiences. People, they are the people of great substance. They have the integrity, insight, and scholarship, level of scholarship with them. Besides that, I would like to say that here we try to at the we try to communicate through a very very utter lucidity and nobility. We try to explore the culture, civilization, culture, art and literature, consciousness, place consciousness, history, mystery, and all other dimensions of the civilization, including art and culture, including literature and musicology, and all wonderful, amazing facets of this wonderful land in this part of the Himalayas, this part of the country, nestled in the majestic Himalayas. When we talk about journalism, journey of journalism, we have seen that a lot of passage, a marathon checkered pass of millennia has been witnessed till finally in Germany it came into the formal structure in around 17th century, with the first English newspaper came into existence, which was Newsweek, Weekly News. And it's around the same time in the 17th century we had seen the great networks were existing in those times between the European countries. There were two great networks. One was between Germany, France, Italy, Germany, France, Netherlands, and Britain, and another was between Italy and Spain and other countries. And their premiumly, I mean, their job was to send the newsletters, newsletters with the military affairs, with the business, trade, and diplomacy, as well as the gossip. So that is how it is in India. Also, we have seen this coming up of this wonderful fourth pillar of democracy, robust pillar of democracy. Have seen gone through the lot of metamorphosis since eons, especially when we talk about the 1720 when its first English weekly came into existence in Calcutta, then winter capital of India. And its name was Bengal Gazette, and it was published by the James Hickey, followed by just half a century, more than half a century. Followed by that, there was Jugal Kishore Sharma. He came with a first Hindi. Udand Matand was the first Hindi newspaper which came into existence in those times. Again, in the city of joy, Calcutta, and the entire entire Indian subcontinent, predominantly the part governed by the British, and also the princely states. This entire changes in environment, that this development of this journalism, school of journalism, had swayed entire subcontinent, entire anatomy, length and breadth of this country, and it has also gone to the places like in our state. And probably this was Maharaja Hari Singh's time, and Maharaja Hari Singh was very liberal. He wanted this expression of freedom, free press in that point of time. And especially in Kashmir, when we talk about advent of journalism, modern journalism, we can talk about Vitasta. Vitasta was the first, newspaper which came into existence by P.N. Bazaz. P.N. Bazaz was a very socio-political, tall personality of his times, and it was followed by a host of newspapers, stream of newspapers, especially the Aftab, Khidmat, and Martand were the most prominent ones. This trailblazers of this time, the founders of this particular movement in Kashmir. We had very very great people like Radhakrishan Kak Sahab, and Nandlal Vatal Sahab, P.N. Jalali Sahab, and Shamim Ahmad Shamim Sahab, and many more people. I mean, the cartoonist Bashir Ahmad Bashir Sahab, and uh, later on Sham Koul and other people, and wonderful journalists came in, and Jagannath Sathu Sahab. I won't be able to, talk about everybody right now, but I'm just giving you the glimpse of this entire movement. They became the pioneers, they became the torchbearers of this entire movement of journalism, modern journalism, which has shaped till now. And so that is how it is. And today we are going in our subsection of Shitalnath Conversations, unsung maestros of 20th century. We are going to talk about one of the great life and times, amazing life and times, one of the great journalists, one of the pioneering journalists, the trailblazer journalist of Kashmir, the Doyen, rather we can call him the Doyen of journalism, Radhakrishan Kaksa. And his times, he's not only been a journalist, accomplished, besides being a accomplished journalist, he was also a writer, par excellent writer. He was an analyst, political commentator, a broadcaster, and a storehouse of knowledge. Uh, an alumni of Punjab University, Lahore. He was also a gold medalist in from economics, and Kaksa was known to be a man of very very high qualities of head and heart, and he had this probably he had this he was known as a man with discipline, who worked with dignity, ease, authenticity, unequivocally, and brilliance. He had qualities of compassion and empathy. So he was also becoming the great personality, great media personality who was reckoned, who had to be reckoned, who couldn't be reckoned with the corridors of power in those times, like the bureaucracy, the political circles, the political heads of the states and heads of the country. like Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry and the Prime Minister's Secretariat. Besides this national and international press, where he was taken as an adorable brethren, comrade brethren, scribe, whose articles, whose dispatches, and whose orations was always awaited. He served for a span of five and a half decade, probably 5.5 decades, and it was a very illustrious career and unblemishing career, in which he served as a wonderful scribe. And it is said that he not only with the statesman, because he went into the statesman because of that one of the great journalists of his time, from the senior journalist from the statesman. Statesman was not an ordinary paper. It was one of the greatest and illustrious papers of the British India, and when British were ruling India, and it was run from Calcutta, and he came to Kashmir, and he rather convinced him and motivated him, and rather handpicked him to join the Statesman. And later on, he also worked for many papers, like newspapers like the Hindu, the Indian Express, Amrit Bazar Patrika, Motherland, and many other, the Tribune, and many other papers. And he was also worked for he was an editor of National Press Association or Bureau, something like that, and a representative of Association of American Press. I don't have I don't know the title, but it represented an American press bureau. And besides that, he had many virtues. He was a wonderful talker. His talks on broadcasted in all India radio on different matters, especially about the political commentary, socio-political commentary. And I'm amazed about one thing. I was just reading it, that he also talked about the archaeology. So that is something very great to know about this wonderful personality. So today we are not going to waste much of your time, and I'm going to call and bring to the studio one of the Madan Kakji. Madan Kakji is a very well-known tourism industry icon, a veteran who has traveled across, who's a widely traveled personality, and who has been formerly, senior vice president of ITC, or senior vice president of some. Just a minute, I'll just read what he has been. And he has been also the chairman of Minar. He's a widely traveled person. He's an alumni of Kashmir University, and he has many other qualities. We are going to talk about all these aspects, especially about his times and then his father's times, and we're going to unravel this mystery, which has grown our probably since last many decades, that we are being away from these great personalities of Kashmir, our own icons. So we are going to know and understand and unravel about R.K. Kak Saab, and also about Madan Kakji. So let's welcome into the studio Sri Madan Kakji with great reverence and affection. Uh, Kak Saab, you are welcome to the Shitanath Conversations 80th show. It's a great privilege to have you with us.
Namaskar, Jugal ji. Thank you very much for inviting me to the 80th show of Sheetalnath Conversations.
Thank
I have been, most of the Sundays when I'm not traveling, I have been watching these
Oh.
shows with great interest. You have been able to present to the younger generations, several aspects of our past, be it, Kashmir, or, people who mattered in Kashmir, who were connected with education, bureaucracy, or some other things. It's really very interesting conversation. Thank you very much again. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Kak Saab. It was your magnanimity. You came, and today it's a very delightful, watch and witness of to know about more about your father and yourself. Just we'll talk about Kak Saab a bit, because the predominantly our subject today is Kak Saab, RK Kak Saab. But before that, we'll like to, our first segment, as is being practiced in Vogue, as per the paradigm and structure of this program, we'll like to go to the first component, that is about your witness in Kashmir, because you were grown there till probably till this migration happened. you are there, and you spend a lot of time, youthful time, infancy days, college days, and you were in the university as well. You studied in the University of Kashmir, that beautiful University of Kashmir on the banks of Lake, this Dal Lake, and Nasim Lake. And I would like to know and let's jog down to your memory lane and witness the culture, the social landscape, the anecdote, the street. Nadia, you lived at Nadia. Your first ancestral house was in Nadia. It was written somewhere. It was a huge sprawling house, and you had the gardens. Let us know through your own vision, through your own understanding, through your own prism and binocular. How was your childhood? What was Kashmir in your childhood?
Okay. I came into this world around what is in Kashmiri parlance known as Kabul raid.
Oh,
Yes, I was born in Rainawari in our ancestral house. I have had idea of spending a few months of my, few months in the
mm,
DAV school at
mm,
Jogilankar. It was a primary school.
mm.
Thereafter, my father, along with all of us in the family, in his family, we moved because of his, profession. It was very inconvenient. He had to spend nights together in the central post office because he was living in Rainawari. So he
Oh,
ultimately decided to move to a quarter which was allotted to him in the Residency Road, which is now presently known as Press Enclave.
okay.
My schooling, my college, my education, throughout my education, I was born and brought up in Kashmir. I studied
Mm,
in CMS school for some years, then DAV school, Amir Akadal for many years, SP
mm.
College, Srinagar, from where I graduated, and then finally into the this University of Jammu and University of Kashmir, which was then
Okay.
known, yeah, on the banks of famous Nasim Nagin Lake. So
Dagin
I
Lake, yeah.
obtained a master's degree in botany from Kashmir University.
That's all right.
Thereafter, there was there were the opportunities for getting a government job into a college as a lecturer were limited. I don't want to go
Okay.
into those details. So I
Yes, yes, please.
finally joined travel trade, and I was in Kashmir. I joined a company called, which was the leading company those days all over India, Travel Corporation India, TCI.
TCI.
I joined there as at a very junior level, and
Hmm.
then rose to be the
Senior Vice
senior vice
President.
president in the same company, where I retired after 37 years.
Oh, that's great.
That was
Wonderful.
a big, long journey. And after that, there was a sabbatical for some years. And then I finally joined Minar Travels, where I have been chief operating officer for last 11 years. I thank
Okay.
God there has been no looking back after our migration from Srinagar,
Mhm.
from Kashmir.
Yes. Let's know about Kashmir. Actually, we want to witness Kashmir, what you saw in Kashmir, the temples, the festivals, the
Yeah.
culture, the neighborhood, the streets,
Yes, yes.
excursions,
My
institution.
my childhood, if you are telling me, my childhood recollection of 19 first recollection is of 1953
Hmm.
when Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was arrested.
Okay.
We were living in the residency quarters. If
Hmm.
you present, there was there's a building now which has come up between the quarters and the road.
Hmm.
uh, there were so many demonstrations. I was so young, scared, when that was my first, interaction in this world about
Right.
something political happening.
Hmm.
Yeah, but otherwise, I have, the memory is good, except, okay, that happened, but the memory is good. We had a very good neighborhood in
Okay.
these residency quarters. I
Hmm.
remember our neighbors were the great poet of Kashmir, Khwaja Ghulam Rasul Nazki. He was our
Ah.
immediate neighbor. Yeah, he was our
Okay.
immediate neighbor. He was director of All India Radio in Srinagar. He was our immediate neighbor. There were so many others. And
Hmm.
finally, then came, after, many years, there came many other journalists. And we had the veteran Shamim Ahmad Shamim.
Ahmed
as
Shan.
neighbor. Yes, as a very good neighbor. We had very good neighbors. And finally, I would like to mention about one Dr. Farhat Hamid.
Okay.
She was our again an immediate neighbor, and what a neighbor! What a neighbor! I tell you. And her husband, he was director of fire services in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, Sheikh Abdul Hamid. They were wonderful. Everybody was wonderful. And I remember Farhat Hamid closing her clinic for 3 days when my father died. That
Oh,
was the relationship. That was the
yes.
relationship. Yeah.
And what about this? Tell us something about going to which was your pilgrimage, like going to Tulamula, Dunga cruise,
Well,
and
no. Well,
trekking and school.
yeah, I will tell you, this Donga cruise, I have done it. My grandfather, he was very religious. He was a
Okay.
Shavite, yeah. He
Yeah.
would take us, the entire family, in a Dunga to Tulamula, which I
Okay.
have done. My faint idea is twice. Yeah, it was a big
Okay.
excursion, a big day to
Mm.
prepare and go to Tulamula in a Dunga, pray to Ragnya Bhagwati there, and return in the Dunga, then have a hearty non-vegetarian meal. Yeah.
That is story I have repeatedly heard from
Then,
so many
okay.
visitors.
Then I remember, I would always go to the Ganpatiya temple. For most of for many years, I would go to the Ganpatiya temple in the evenings to pray.
Mm.
I would
Oh,
also go to the Hanuman Mandir in Amirakadal for every Tuesday, because the family was religious minded. Yeah, particularly
okay.
my mother. And then when I got married, my wife Girja also, she still is very religious minded. So that had an impact on that. Yeah.
Oh. So you talked about that you studied in Tyndall Biscuit School,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then you also studied in the
Yes.
university, Kashmir University, on the banks of Nagin. Tell us something
Yes.
about your recollection of your times in school, teachers,
Yes.
environment, location. Yeah.
the the summer school was just fantastic. That was the only school I remember those days in winter which was open during winter. We didn't have 2 months of winter vacations.
Mm.
We had some vacations, but we were made to come to the school. But the facilities were great in that school. We had a Bukhari in every classroom.
Okay.
In those days, I'm talking of 53, 54 onwards.
My God.
The
My God. So,
teachers were
mm,
excellent. We had extracurricular activities, lots and lots of them. But I regret. I think I'm the only Bisco boy who has not been a swimmer because I had water phobia.
oh my God.
The school,
Because Kashmir, everybody is the same. Yeah, yeah. And especially
no,
Bisco people, I
oh,
heard
yeah,
that. Yeah.
of course, it was compulsory. But I remember my father had to. I mean, that's the first time he has helped me to come to the
Okay.
school and meet the principal and requested him. And I was given an exemption. But I
Okay.
regret it now. I regret it now. Yeah. And
Mm,
also, being a Ranavarian, in our ancestral house, which was
mm.
surrounded by water on three sides, I think I'm the only person who is not a swimmer because I had water phobia. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Then
yes, yes.
SP College
Teachers.
was great.
Yeah.
SP College, yeah, the teachers at Bisco School were, late Arjanaji Muju. He was a great teacher. Pandit Amarnath Muttu, Shri Radhakrishnan
Satlal
Kao.
Razdan. Satlal
Oh,
Razdan was
yes,
there. Satlal
yes,
Razdan.
yeah. But yes, yes, Master Satlalji. Oh, yes, he was there. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm, okay. So anybody, any inspiration, personality? Then we will talk about your college first. Yeah. Then we can go back to those. Yeah.
Okay. College was great, College was, going from a school to the college, it has its plus and minus points. Yeah.
Okay.
So, mm, well, there were so many liberties and all that,
Hmm.
which
Yes, yes.
could which were misused by me for a while or something like that, yes. But then, we had very, very good teachers, like Principal Saifuddin Sahib,
All right. Absolutely. I heard about
Professor.
him.
Yeah, oh yes, he was a great man, a great disciplinarian. a great disciplinarian. Once my father had spoken to him that I was not paying much attention to the studies, and I was told to get a book from him. When I went to his office, he stood up from his, and I still remember that slap he gave me instead of the book.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I mean,
we,
you are talking about. I mean, it is much before. I mean, we were. I mean, we are 1960s born,
yeah, yeah,
61 born.
yeah.
So
Of
I mean,
course.
but I think the atmosphere was the same in Kashmir in our times as well as your times. There's not much
Of course,
change.
no, no, very cordial. It was very cordial. Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
teachers.
had friends from all communities with no
Hmm.
problems, with no problems. Yeah, very
Hmm.
cordial atmosphere, very cordial atmosphere.
How did you look at the city of seven bridges, as Murtab defines Kashmir, Srinagar? How did you look at the city? I mean, the vicinity, the Amira Kadal. Where did you go for the shopping? What was the
Yeah, yeah.
mall?
I would go.
Hustle
No,
and
no, there
bustle.
were
Yeah,
no
tell us
malls.
something about.
No, no,
Yeah,
there were no malls and all that those days. I would go
inform.
we'd go to Amira Kadal. That was the nearest market for us. That was
Okay.
the nearest market for us to buy vegetables, poultry, groceries, and all that. Yeah. And
Hmm.
then, yes, we had relations scattered all over Srinagar city. We
Hmm.
would go to, interior of the city to Haba Kadal, Safa Kadal. Yeah, I have very good ideas, memories about that. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So, any special anecdote you would like to tell us? Any incident? Normally, it happens in childhood. कुछ होता है, कहीं झगड़ा होता है, कहीं प्रोफेसर आपको तंग करते हैं, कुछ
Nay,
टीचर
I had
आपको रेप्रिमेंड करते हैं.
I had
Yeah,
very good rapport with all my professors. I had a very good rapport with all my professors. Yeah,
that's so wonderful.
whether in college or in the university.
Okay. That's so great. That's so great and wonderful. So let's come back to now. I think anything else you want to talk about those memories and what happened? What happened at the time when you came along with all the people in 1990 probably to Delhi?
1990, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
1990, yeah, 1990. We left in February. We came,
And
in
what are your
and
experiences moving out of that great, wonderful ancestral place,
yeah,
your
I'll
native
tell
land?
you, no, no, not Rainavari. We were staying in residency quarters even after the death of my father. The government allowed us to continue staying there. So
Okay,
from 1952, we were staying in this house, in this particular house, till
mm,
1990. I mean,
okay.
I, I still have very, big remembrances, recollections. I was married in that house. I was married in
Rem-
that house. I got married in that house.
Reminiscences. Okay.
So that was wonderful. But then leaving that place, on a cold morning in a taxi was painful. Was painful, yes. And
Yeah.
again, one of our, very good neighbors, she came to my wife. She said, take some money and all that, which we did not. But see the relationship. See what the feelings they had,
Mm.
that you are going to a different place now, you must have money and all that. But okay, leaving that place was painful, and at that time, I did not think that we will not be returning. I had thought that maybe in
It's a matter of
6 months
days.
or one. Yeah, yeah, but that did not happen, unfortunately.
Oh, that's very sad. So, so
And
now,
had my
yes, yes,
father been alive and had to migrate, it would have been a big, big shock for him because he loved Kashmir.
that's what. That's what. That's so. That's certainly a personality who went there, who became the trailblazer, who was I mean, a front runner, torchbearer of journalism, and he was
I
born there. His ancestors were
I'll
there.
tell, I'll tell you, he was so much in love with Moj Kashir uh,
Hmm.
that he had to refuse a very lucrative offer from Associated Press of America
Oh,
to go and work for them in Iran, because my father he he had studied Persian, you know.
okay.
So they wanted somebody, and they were so much impressed with his work that he was offered a very lucrative job in Iran. But he loved Kashmir immensely, and he had to refuse that. That was his love for Kashmir.
That's one. That's so great. I know. I mean, there are many, many stories flown about your father. So before that, now since you are done with yourself, we'll talk about your career and other things just a bit after. And before that, I would like to come down to, let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about your father. Let's talk about his distinguished career, because let's know about this statesman, the statesman story, how it
Yeah.
happened and how the career began. We'll come back to other things. We'll
Okay.
move to and fro. That way
Okay.
it will become more interesting. Yeah.
My father, he was born in 1911, and as you said in your introduction, he
Yeah.
graduated from Punjab University, Lahore, with a gold medal in economics.
Okay.
Well, he never wanted to, as he has told me, he never
Mm.
wanted to get into government service.
Mm. Okay. Yes.
That's why he did not apply or get into government service after the graduation, which was very common those days, to get into government service immediately after graduation. No, he
Mm.
did for a while. He was working as an agent for Life Insurance Corporation of India
Okay.
for
Yes.
some time. And in the meantime, he came in touch with this journalist in I think it was 1934 something or 1938, who had
Mm.
come to Kashmir. So
Okay.
he was introduced. He was staying in a houseboat, and he was looking for somebody to be part of the big statesman group, which was published from Calcutta, which was owned by British people those days. And that was, you know, a very, very big name in newspaper industry. So he
Colonel,
was
I heard that Colonel Laundry
laundered.
had come. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he was staying in a houseboat in Nagin Lake. That's what I have been told by my father. And one of his uncles took him to meet him because the houseboat owners had told my father's uncle that he's looking for somebody to work for him. So they met once, twice, and then finally he introduced him. He took him into employment for in the Statesman, which was published those days from New Delhi, from Calcutta earlier, and then shifted to New Delhi also. And he
Okay.
continued with the Statesman till about I think 1969. Yes, till about 1969.
No, that's a long time. Quite a long time. He was a
Oh
principal
yes,
correspondent. Yeah.
yes. Well, it was, I mean, he was a very, what would I say, a respected reporter for Statesman because
Oh.
they believed in his integrity. I'll give you one instance, which is nothing to connect with this,
Yeah.
about integrity. When Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was going through this Kashmir conspiracy case, of Philip
Okay.
Friend. I don't know if we are talking politics here or not. I
No,
don't know.
no, we
You
will not. We won't be talking about politics. Is not our core subject. We don't talk about. But we can refer. You can refer the incident. Yes, there's no harm in
so,
referring the incident.
so
But it's not a
Mrudula
political
Sarabhai.
platform.
No,
Yeah.
no. Mrudula Sarabhai, she would she would come. She has come to our house at Residency Road many times. She
Mm,
had complained to the editor in chief of
mm.
Statesman. I remember his name, Alfred Evan Charlton, that he was not doing his reporting objectively.
Oh.
But then he was she was sent a reply that, I mean, he's the most for us. He's the most,
Ever.
voter. That was the esteem in which he was held.
That's so wonderful. I've heard about his stories. Even in those times, in a paper, newspaper like Statesman, which was one of the most illustrious paper of the pre-partition India, new independent India, and
Yes,
at that time, the most of the people were British. Most of the this journalists were British in the Statesman,
of
and then
course, yeah.
coming of your father in there is must be certainly having a very, very highly decorated merits and insights and the capacities to join a paper like the Statesman in those times.
Yes, and to continue for so many
Hmm.
years.
And continue for so many years, and he was known as a man with head and heart. let's talk about he was highly respected by the bureaucracy, political circles, and social circles, even heads of the states and national and international press, corridors of power, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, Prime Minister's Secretary. Tell us about. I would like that if you just convey certain anecdotes which you know, incidents about these the powerful people in the corridors of
But
power, political. Yes.
before we go to that, I would just take 2 minutes to say that my father, my respected father, he represented newspapers in all four regions of India.
Oh,
Statesman was in North India, the Tribune Ambala. He was connected with the Civil and Military Gazette Lahore for many years. In the Western region, he represented a Pune-based uh, Marathi newspaper.
are
Okay,
great.
Eastern India, it was Amrit Bazar Patrika.
Amrit Bazar Patrika. Yes, that
Yeah,
was the Eastern Bengal,
East,
Calcutta based.
Eastern, yeah. And in South India, it was Hindu Madras.
Oh,
Yeah. So
that's so. Mm.
while doing Statesman, in addition, he was reporting for Associated Press of America, AP, Associated, which is popularly known as AP. And
Yes.
then, after his retirement from Statesman, he worked for Motherland. Motherland was a paper, it was an official organ of BJP for some couple of months. And
Mm.
then finally, he spent quite a big time at Indian Express again.
Okay, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful to know about his. And I know I want. I really. I'm not. I was more interested now. To my question was, Madanji. My question to you was, tell us about incidents about. There were so many chief ministers, prime ministers of Jammu and Kashmir, Bakshi Ghulam Muhammad to
Okay.
Sadiq to Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, I mean with whom he worked, and then he moved around and in the national scenario, national landscape, he had very good connections. He was
I,
liked and loved by everyone. Tell us certain incidents
and
about his life
I
with these. Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah first, when
Yes.
he was put jail, my
Mm.
father had to be operated upon. I mean, he got ill because of his kidney stones. And when
Okay.
Sheikh Saab heard of this, he wrote a letter to him from Kut jail,
Mm.
which was censored, of course, and handed over again to my father. That where are you planning to go for surgery? Then my father replied to him, sent a word to him that he
Okay.
will go to Amritsar or Delhi. But
Mm.
he had sent a reply that you can go to Paris. And when my father said, I can't have that money, he said, people of Kashmir will pay for it. That
All
was the
right.
respect he had for my father. That was the respect because of what? His objective reporting, his
Object.
integrity. Okay. Now, compared to that, come to Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad. When Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad came to power in 1953, I am told I was what? I was 6 years old then. I don't know,
Okay.
but that my uncle, who was a tourist officer in Pathankot, was transferred by Bakshi Sahab to be his private secretary,
Okay.
just to oblige my father so that you know, he does his writings and all that in his favor. But my father
Oh,
sent him a message that he did so. If he does not cancel this order, he will report it in the newspapers that he is doing this kind of tactics. That was one aspect. Another one is when Sadiq Saab and his colleagues Mir Qasim and DP Dar Saab, they broke
mm.
away from National Conference and formed Democratic National Conference. And Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad found some of the writings of my father not to his liking. He dismissed from the services my brother-in-law,
Oh my God.
my my sister's husband, who was working in information department as a senior cameraman.
My God. Very sad.
But
This is
but but that
Bakshi Ghulam Muhammad doing this is something unusual to hear. Yeah.
that's what Okay, another one is that his meeting with Sir Tej Bahadur Safru
All right.
was a
Great.
great
That was-
writer and all that. My father
yeah.
has mentioned when he came to Kashmir, he went to meet him and interview him. So Tej Bahadur Sapru, being an aristocrat and all that, he
He had
ordered
that.
some coffee for my father, which he had not sipped. He had not tasted coffee till that time.
Okay.
And Tej Bahadur Sapru could find that he was uncomfortable. So without telling him anything, he got his coffee replaced by a cup of tea.
Yeah. So yes, yes, that's so wonderful to hear. Such a small incidents, but they define the environment, ambience, and the flavor of those times. How the people were, how the personalities were, all kind of personalities. Yes.
Yes. And during this, when, as I said, Sheikh Saab was arrested in 1953, I was 7 years. No, 6 years. I was 6 years.
Okay.
My father, I mean, he had known about it because I was told by mother that there are enough rations and all that. He was away from home for many days. Reporting, he spent days at the Central Telegraph Office because those days the
That
journalists had
was
to rely on the Telegraph Office only. He would spend his nights there. Uh, that's another aspect of his hard work. And yeah, there were, I remember, two. I will not name them. Two senior officers of the government of Jammu and Kashmir, whom Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad wanted to arrest. They were hiding in our house for a couple of days.
Array, that's so wonderful.
And, yeah,
So in a
I
way,
named
yeah.
them. Finally, they were arrested. They were arrested. They were not from our house, fortunately. Yeah, they were good friends of my father, but they were very high officials. They were arrested.
They were arrested. So Bakshi Ghulam, you have presented today the case of Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad, who was very popular among Kashmiris, especially Kashmiri Pandits, and another side of Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad, which we don't know,
Yeah,
ruthless side of Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad. And
the most
that's how the history unfolds when you come to the narrative, closing narrative of those times. And
another
what
one,
about? Yes, yes.
another
Please
one.
do continue. We love these anecdotes. We love these anecdotes. Yeah.
When uh, Pandit Ramchandra Kak,
Prime
he
Minister.
yeah, he was the prime minister.
That's a
Uh,
good. Please tell
was
us this
Yeah,
incident.
had come to the conclusion that majority of Muslim state of Kashmir will never join Indian domain. Okay,
Yes.
he was for an independent Kashmir, and my father, I'm told, I have not seen those reports and all that. He was writing against that. That- I mean, that was not the point. He did not like that, and they did not have a very good relationship. So it's said, that's what I have been told, is that one day Pandit Ramchand Kak's brother, they were family friends.
Okay.
Pandit Ramchandra Kak was a distant relation, distant relation
They
of
have the same surname, Cox. Yeah.
no, no, it was a distant relation of my grandmother. But my uncle was friends with one of the brothers of Pandit Ramchandra Kak. So one day they were coming. This is 19, I'm told, in 1948 somewhere. They were coming, walking together on the Residency Road. And the Pandit Ramchand Kak's brother, he pointed out, if you, I don't know, you're too young to know that, there was a police station, Kotibag, which
I
was
have heard
used,
about, yes.
yeah, which was used by Sheikh Ghulam Qadir Gandarbali, you know, during after 53 and all
I have
that.
heard about it through my father.
That
Yeah.
that they were planning to put my father into this jail
My God.
because because Pandit Ramchandra Kak did not like the writings and all that. But my uncle, he was very, witty and all that. He told him, no, it will be your brother who will be here, not my brother. And trust me, my father said that next day he was dismissed and arrested and put in the same Kotibag Thana jail.
Oh. So that
Anyway,
kind of, I mean, respect he yielded at that even those times.
yeah,
But I have heard that Maharaja Hari Singh was a first monarch who wanted the freedom of expression of the press
Yes.
Yet, I mean, it is very difficult in the time of monarchic times to have a complete free expression of the freedom of the press. But
Of
Ramchand
course.
Kak was their prime minister. Yes, please, please, sir, please continue. Yeah.
Okay. Then he had the, to meet, he had the honor of, I'm not talking about the national leaders and all that, but he was very uh, he felt honored to have met Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan
Array,
when he
yes.
was in Kashmir, in the what are the present guest houses. He was staying there along with Pandit Nehru, because and my father said that I wanted to, as a journalist, he wanted to go and interview uh, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. He said when he climbed the stairs there was some noise, uh, person and climbing the stairs with a shoe. Then when he entered the room, Panditji had rebuked him. He said, you don't know Khan Sahib is resting, you made so much of noise.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. That also gives is an indicator of those times and how Pandit Nehru held these people with reference and respects to Khan Ghaffar
Uh,
Khan.
my
Yeah.
father had he had met Pandit Nehru in 1944, first time, when he was released from the jail. During the independence movement, he went to jail several times. He was released from the jail, and he came to holiday in Kashmir in Sonamarg. That was in 1944, where he had, you know, during those days, Labour Party, I think yes, Labour Party had won the elections in Britain,
Great,
and
great, great.
yeah, and they were, sympathetic to the cause of freedom for India. Statesmen had told him to go and interview Nehru on what he has to say about the victory of Labour Party.
Labour
Party.
Party. Yeah.
Yeah. So he went, from Srinagar, partly by bus. I'm talking of 1944, and partly by ponies, and went to the place, because he was told where he's holidaying and all that. He had carried, that he had carried a bundle of newspapers for Panditji because he was holidaying just in case he wanted to. That was his first meeting with Panditji in forests of Sonmarg. Well, he had refused to comment anything on the outcome of the British elections, but he had insisted my father to have lunch with him instead of having his own lunch, which he had carried from home. Yeah, that was his.
Array,
Yeah,
that's so. That also tells about this personality of Pandit Nehru and his attitude towards the press people and the general people of those times. One glimpse. It gives one side, one aspect of Panditji.
yeah, that's.
Yes, sir. Please continue. This is an anecdotal program. We'll go to listen to anecdotes, all anecdotes by you. Yeah.
No, what else? No. Then I think he was the when Sheikh Saab was released from the Kut jail. He was the first journalist to meet him outside
Uh,
when he was released. Yeah, because he had known, and his stories not only in Statesman. He was those days also. I think it's 19. I don't remember the year. He yeah. And Associated Press. They were,
Associated Press of America.
across the world. Yeah, that was really very good. Yeah, interview with him. Yeah, Sheikh Saab always held him in great esteem. Great esteem.
IST. I've seen one photograph also. Just a minute. I'll just play. I'll just play. I'll just play. You can first of all. I'll play photographs, and you tell
Okay.
us about these photographs. Which these photographs are.
Yeah.
You can go on telling us.
Okay.
Uh, so what is it all this photograph about?
Well, I think this is Dr. Karan Singh when he was, this is 1953, I think. Yeah, this is the press corps of Kashmir, Jammu and
Mm.
Kashmir, with some, other journalists from Delhi. My father is standing in total white on the extreme,
Mm.
second from the left, white
Okay,
suit, necktie. Yeah,
that's so wonderful. And
yeah,
what about this one? This one, Sheikh
yeah.
Saab. Yeah.
This I think is a reception which was held in honor of Sheikh Saab when he returned to the mainstream in the second, 1975 Accord. Yeah, this was a reception given to him by the Press Club of Kashmir, where my father was the president of the press
Oh,
club.
your
Yeah,
father stands beside Sheikh Saab, na? In the back.
yeah. He was never, he would never come into. I didn't have his photographs because he would never like that. Yeah,
Okay.
he would be, he was not, you know, very active and all that to show off and all that. Yeah, he did, stand in behind Sheikh Saab. He did not. He could have stood besides him, but he was that person. Yeah,
And
with
this was Gyani Jal Singh. Who
Gyani
is this
Jail
man?
Singh, the
Gyani Jal Singh.
president. Yeah, he's being introduced to Gyani Jail Singh by another journalist who was Director General of Information those days, Mr. Satpal Sani.
Satpal Sani. Yes, yes, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I wanted to
being,
ask about these trios. Yeah.
yeah,
Satpal
he's
Sani,
Satpal Sani with
Nandlal
grace.
Watal. And, yeah.
Yeah, he's being introduced to Gyani Jail Singh when he visited Kashmir as President of India.
Acha, it was in Srinagar.
Yeah, this is I think this is again with General Thimaiya because
Arey, wow.
yeah,
Wonderful.
this is General Thimaiya. Yes, he was a major general those days. Yes,
Hmm.
this is I think immediately after the Zojila War in 19.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I asked Watal Saab also when I had a conversation for about ND Nandlal Watal ji. I'm asking you also. Tell me something because he said that I was not born at that time, but you were grown up with in an atmosphere because you were born at the time of partition, so you might have some consciousness about it. Tell us something about. Have you heard some stories? Because they were. I heard that they were the war journalists as well. Nandlal Watal and your father and
Yes,
Sani Saab, they went to the cover the war at the forefront during
they
the
were
Kabali. Yeah, yeah,
covered the war at the forefront. This was my father
yeah,
and
yeah.
another journalist, Satpal Sani. They were the
Okay,
two
there's
journalists.
two.
But I was too young those days. I wouldn't have. That's what I have been told by my father that they were
Okay,
going. Yeah, but
okay.
in 1965, yes,
Yes,
1965,
tell us something about that
I
war journalism. Yeah.
he, I mean, he would go to the front along with the army people, the army public relations people to cover the war in the forward areas. Yeah,
That's how it is.
yeah,
Yeah, that's so. So we were talking about the anecdotes about your father. More, he was very darling of the Indian as well as foreign press as far as reporting on Kashmir. His dispatches were concerned, and
no, I
his contribution as editorials as well. Yeah.
Jugalji, his most important dispatch was
Hmm.
when, because of his writings
Hmm.
in the Statesman, that government of India was awakened that Chinese were knocking in Ladakh.
Yes, I've heard about. Please tell us
Yeah,
about this incident.
it's a fact. It's a fact because of
Okay.
his, he was called those days, an expert on Ladakh. Yeah, and he had
Okay.
very good connections. He had very good connections in Ladakh with the local people there. He was a very good friend of Mr. Kashuk Bakola. And it said that if Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad had to convey his displeasure or pleasure to Kashuk Bakola, who was very close to Nehru also, he would use my father to convey these messages
He was an
to Kashuk.
interlocutor,
Yeah,
intermediary. Yeah.
he
I mean,
was.
they were the people of. He was a man of very great substance. And tell us something about, as I asked you about his relationship with the national and international press.
Yeah,
The stalwarts. Yeah.
it was very cordial. All the journalists of national dailies, because Kashmir had its own importance always, and it still is. So all these visiting journalists, they would come and call on him to know about his viewpoint, which they thought which was very useful for them. All journalists. I remember Indra Malhotra coming very often. Indra Malhotra was with statesmen.
Andar
Earlier,
Malhotra, a
yeah,
big name. Yeah.
no, Indra Malhotra used to work. He was trained by my father. When
Okay, that's so great.
then they were both working
Yeah.
for this United Press of India, United Press of India, which was founded by Dr. B.C. Roy.
Okay.
Yeah, you must not have heard about it because
Yes, yes, I
yeah,
have heard. Yeah, but
Pran Chopra, they all would come, and yeah, Mr. Karanjia from Blitz, you know,
Karanjia. Yeah,
uh,
they would
Mr.
come.
Karanjia, and the most important, his most important friend was, he was an Arya Samajist earlier in his life.
Okay.
Then became a Sanatani, but during his
Again,
Arya Samaj, he had very close relationship with what's his name, you know, he owned the Milap.
Dining.
Milap
Okay.
was a Urdu national daily, but the Rambir was that no, not that. No, what was his name? I'm forgetting. The owner of Milap, but his son, he was like family. He would come and stay.
Owner of Milaf was Lala. I've forgotten his name. Yes.
No,
Okay.
not Lajpat Rai. No. And finally, I would also like to
Okay.
say that
Okay.
he was always ready to help, ready to teach journalism and to the younger generations who would come into the uh, field of journalism. He would guide them. He would always guide them. Yeah, there were so many. I will not name them. Some are alive, some are not. But he would always be there to help them.
I mean,
And
yes, I've heard that.
was a yeah he was a he was a regular uh, when this institute at the Kashmiri University was found, this media institute, what they called, he would go and teach the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one. No, I have heard about him that he was held in a great reverence by all the people, and he was like a guru, torchbearer, and everybody would listen to him and take many tips of wisdom, journalistic ethics from him, and all other things as well.
Yes,
And
of course. Yeah, of course, there were so many. Yeah, and he would guide them. Yeah, he was
one
respect.
great thing one great thing about your father is that he is a journalist, very unblemishing journalist, a person to be reckoned with. He has been the part of this journalism before partition, in the during the princely state, and post independence period as well. So this transition, how do you look to him as a transition, a man who dealt with an entire, because now we're in democracy, earlier we were
Yeah,
in the monarchy. So,
monarchy.
what did you observe? What differentiation did you observe from a personality who transited, a journalist of his stature, who transited from the monarchy times, his way of workings, his dispensation style, other styles as well as, yeah,
That unchanged because during the monarchy also his reporting was uh, on
objective.
fact. Yes, yeah, he would always say that reporting is to be factual, no comments, no personal, and he continued it in his lifetime. So there was no question of any conflict in that. In his, he was respected by people. To sum up, I would only say, Jugalji, he was respected by people so much. I tell you, when he died in 1988, I was not in Srinagar, but I'm told by my wife that doctors at SMHS Hospital and at Sher Kashmir Institute, we are running to do whatever they could, and finally he breathes his last. And when by the time I came early morning, preparations, he was shifted from Sher Kashmir Institute to his residence. And when we were preparing for his last journey, I was telling somebody to arrange a vehicle to carry the mortal remains of my respected father. But a top politician who was a minister for many years, he came to me that and said that there is no necessity to get a vehicle to carry him. We will carry him on his shoulders. That
Correct.
was that was. I mean, what do I say? What do I say?
Esteemed.
That was the high esteem he was held in. That's it. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. I have heard that. Was there any such incident in which a particular head of the power got angry with him, and they had a stiff resistance with each other, because he was a man who always went through the logic and the truth of any particular thing. Do you think? Do you remember any such incident which in which he was trying to be harassed, or something like that? Yeah.
They, what more harassment they could have done, to dismiss my brother-in-law from the services.
Oh, that you told about that history.
Okay. Then another, I did not want to, my father, he was so much, what do I say? The honesty, the integrity. He could have, those days when I passed when I did my PUC, or, he could have asked the corridors of power to give me a seat in medical college. No, he never did that. When I did my MSc, he did not tell them to give me a job. So what
Oh,
more?
yes.
I mean, for his only son, if he has not done anything, that speaks of, yeah.
It speaks volumes about him.
That,
Let's go back. Let's travel back in the time, and let's go to his Lahore days, his education days, his when he was a child, his infancy days. Where did he live? How was the atmosphere? How did this archaic personality develop? How Let's talk about his development model. How gradually all these things, all these sensibilities, which we did not define as archaic, came in forth into a personality who was young and who was in Nadia, who lived in a family there, and his father
yeah,
was a
family,
government
yeah,
officer.
fine family with his parents and with his brothers and sisters and all that, yeah. But then I think because of his honest hard work, he rose into, in the esteems of the people, I would say. He was very simple. He lived a very simple. He was a very simple life. He was an epitome of simplicity. You know, I'll
Epitomes.
I'll give you one, and there were so many people from the corridors of power, government of India, particularly Congress Party. I remember. I will name this Dr. Ram Subhag Singh. He was the secretary of Congress Party of India. He had come to Kashmir and he wanted to come and meet my father. So we lived
Mhm.
modestly, we had no pomp and show. Our drawing room,
Special
what
luxuries.
the present drawing room, what we called Batak, was a
Better.
simple, yeah, Batak. It had
Kashmiri
a couple
better. Yeah.
yeah, it had a couple of chairs, a table, and when I heard that, as a dignitary is coming, so I got, a masnand placed in the this drawing room.
Drawing room, yes. And better. Yeah, it happened, pillows and maslan. That was
That
the
was so
thing. Yeah.
angry, and he
You
said, "Why?
adorn your better when a guest used to arrive. Yeah.
Why do you want to show off? Why do you want to show off?" No, no. He got it removed. He said, "I'm living my own life." And his closest, thing was, whosoever came, his hookah always.
Okay. So, did he travel to Lahore for his
Yes,
study?
yes.
And tell us something about any anecdote you have heard
No,
about his days in
sorry,
Lahore, and
sorry.
don't
But he
know.
traveled. Yeah, he did not travel much to yeah, except Delhi. I think, yeah, except Delhi, he would travel to Delhi once in 2 years or once in a year. Never to any other place in India. Or
Okay.
he had to go to Amritsar for his operation, kidney operation, where one of his kidneys was removed. Yeah, that's all I.
Okay.
Yeah, he was not.
He was at the forefront, a great intellectual of his own times, and it was a time when the transition happened from monarchy to the independent India, and Jammu and Kashmir. The Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah came and became the prime minister at that point of time. Tell us something about these new documents, because there was a dearth of intellectuals around, and there were very few, like Naya Kashmir document, other document, communist movement, and other aspects of political, undercurrents in those times. Tell us something. Your father, did he play some role into this whole construct of new edifice, new structure,
No,
new?
he would
Yeah.
not go into all this. No, for him,
Okay.
mission was sacred.
The statesman was
Yeah,
that was his.
other newspapers, his reporting, his newsletters, his analysis, that was sacred to him. He would discuss
Okay.
things, never get involved, yeah, into it. Yeah.
I got one photograph of. I don't have that here. He is sitting with besides Indira Gandhi. I don't know. You
Yes.
can recall what is it all about? Tell us something
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. Because again, when he was president of the Press Club of India, during when Mrs. Gandhi came to India, when Sadiq Saab was the prime minister, he was the
Came
prime
to Jammu
minister.
Kashmir. Yeah.
Yes, and this reception was held for this. The Kashmir Press Club did not have a building of their own, so this was held at, I think, Amar Singh Club. So, as president of Kashmir Press Club, yeah.
He was also an analyst and a political commentator who spoke very boldly in his times, and he had many other. He was I heard that he was a very well-read person. He knew about the quantum of subjects, the wide quantum of subjects. He had
Yes.
a hand on. He was very exposed and well-read personality. And then he used to go for All India Radio for talks and television as well. Tell us something
Yeah.
about
So
was
much.
he a very good orator? Was he a very good orator? As he was a journalist?
He was not. I would not rate him as a very good orator. What I would rate him, he did his research and very well. He did his,
Okay,
research work very well, and then presented it. He was not a very
okay,
good orator. No, no, he
okay,
was not a good. But he wrote. He wrote. Yeah.
okay.
He was so much. It was not only that he was interested in politics. He was like he did when Burzholm excavations took place.
Yes,
He wrote.
archaeology. I am very much
Yes,
stunned by that
yeah,
archaeological
yeah.
aspect of it.
He broadcast couple of talks under the title Chronicle in Stone Burzholm.
Arey, wonderful.
He described not on, he broadcast these talks, a series of talks from Radio Kashmir, and then wrote many pieces for statesmen on that.
Probably he might have been inspired by Prime Minister R.K. Kak as well, because R.K. Kak was also a great archaeologist of his time. He has
Archaeology,
written the
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
could be. Yeah.
when you have the good
So
environment around, the people around, you develop that particular trait.
varied. It was not only politics; it was
Okay,
economics. It was
economics.
archaeology. He would spend time in the Sri Pratap Museum, watching the arts and crafts. And then he wrote, on one of, I remember he wrote a big article on the shawl shawl which was presented. I don't know, but which was woven with the city of Srinagar, the
Oh.
landmarks and.
And I know that there's this hustle and bustle of coffee house, smoke and noise and intellectuals. He was a central figure who used to be at coffee house. Tell us something about any incident you have visited or you are
No,
known to be.
no, I would not go with him. He was a regular at the coffee house, which was on the Bund. Which
Earlier it
was
was
on
on
the
the
Bund.
bun, they say, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Later,
a different class. That was a different class. But when it was shifted to the Residency Road,
yes, yes.
which was the better place, then it became hub of politics. So
Later,
he did not go there much.
okay.
He would be
And
alone.
yeah, that's so wonderful. I mean, I have heard about him a lot. People used to, talk to him and interact with him or a cup of coffee and other things. Tell me something. One more thing I really want to ask, whether you know anything about this aspect or not. The post-independence India, especially in Indira Gandhi's time, there were Panj Pyare, Panj Pande, which was known as P. Andar, P. N. Haksar, T. N. Koul, D.P. Dar. And
Yeah.
all these five people, they ruled. They ruled the complete. They had a control. They were very brilliant. Haksar, P. N. They were very brilliant people, nationalist people who helped
Yeah.
this country out. But they were known as Panj Pandey. So
Mhm.
certainly, being a fellow KP, a journalist, certainly, I mean, I think it is not impossible. I think it probably every journalist in those times
Uh,
would have definitely met any of these great personalities who were in the
yes.
corridors of power,
Yeah.
who are the policy makers of India.
I would say amongst these his interaction was mostly with Mr. D.P. Dar, but
Okay.
he with, he would meet Mr. Haksar and Mr. P. Andar.
Hare, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haksar is a wonderful man. very well read, very wide
Right.
personality. I mean, those times were different. Although we had all paucity of money and scarcity of money, but yet people were great. Personalities were great. They were in their own flesh and blood. They were the great integrity. They had the great integrity, great depth, great understanding. So that's so
Right.
wonderful to know about you those times. And he lived a very simple and a dignified life. I
Yeah.
heard about, and he was ready to
Like,
help everyone.
very
Yeah,
simple, very, very simple. I mean, his diet, his food, it was very simple.
mm.
Just morning he would not have a breakfast. I've never seen him having a breakfast. He would have
Arre,
only a
that's so
cup, couple of teas in the morning, and
okay.
then lunch around 12:30, which was very simple. A small portion of rice with some curds and a vegetable, particularly hake.
Half
That
was
was,
the
yeah,
first meal of all
that
Kashmiri.
was his, yeah. But evening, yes, he would enjoy, you know, a drink or that, and then with a normal, good dinner. That's it. Yeah. But ultimately, he lived a very simple life. Yeah.
To whom
He did not,
journalists were, yeah,
he did not show off. That's my,
he was not
he was,
demonstrative. Hmm.
no, he would never show off his stature or his being a leading journalist. He would never show off. No.
Tell us something about because his contemporaries like Nandlal Vatal Saab was there, Sani
Yeah.
Saab was there. Tell us something about the coterie, the people with whom he had the closest acquaintance among the
No, no.
circle of journalism.
Of course, Pandit Nandlal Vatal, he was
Nandlal
a
Vatal was his closest.
Hungarian, and then very closely, they were very close to each other. There was another
Okay,
reason, he lived very close to the Khidmat.
okay,
It was just 500 meters away. So either he would come over or my father would spend time in his office. Yeah. And similarly with Mr. Satpal Sani. Yeah. Because he was also very senior journalist,
he was
and
a
they
very
traveled
senior.
together. They traveled together, to Baramulla a couple of times during 1947 when raiders came in and all that. So they had, developed that bonding, and he had a couple of people whom he trained as journalists.
Like you can just name a few. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember he was the Brij Kishan Tufchi. You would not have heard about him. He was a
yeah, I've
very,
heard.
very, he worked for Radio Kashmir in Srinagar and then migrated to USA.
Okay,
He was very brilliant. He was very brilliant. Similarly, another one was Umandar Nath Gunju. He was associated with him. He would come and assist him and learn, for many, many years. Then my father had, he got into this profession. Two of his nephews.
okay.
Two. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm
Hello.
here. Please,
Yeah.
please continue.
Got
Please,
into
yeah.
journalism. Two nephews. One is ML Kak, who was on the Tribune, who worked with Tribune for many, many years and is now retired.
I've heard about some.
Another PL Kak, who was also trained by my father. And then he was representing many, like Amrit Bazar Patrika and things like that. Yeah.
He was in a time. He was part of that time space rather, when transition happened, and we had the great personalities in like in national politics, in social circles, in Kashmir. We too had great personalities in overall Kashmiri community as well as Kashmiri Pandit community. Like we had the Shami Muhammad Shami, Beg Sahab were
Yeah.
there, and then we had people like Shivnarayan Fotedar, Kashyap Bandhuji was there, Kelam Sahab
Oh,
was
yes.
there.
My father would go
Bazaz
and
Saab
meet.
was there.
Yes, my
Yeah.
father would go and meet Bandhoji at his village
Okay.
in his later
Oh,
years, in his native village, Geru. Yeah,
Geru. Okay.
Geru. Yeah.
That's that's so wonderful to know. And he had an interaction with Bandhuji
Oh,
and
many
other
times,
people. Okay.
many times. All these, yeah, with
Great
great
leaders from those times. Shami was also one of the. He
respect.
was
Yes, he was. I have seen him growing from, being a cultural officer in the information department. I have seen him growing, Shamim Ahmad Shamim,
okay.
to become a
Okay.
very good journalist and editor a very good
And then
orator
became
and
the member of parliament.
parliament. I've seen him growing. We had very good relationship. Yeah, yeah.
And what about Shivnarayan Fotedar and any anecdote about Kelam
Uh,
Saab, PN
no,
Bazars?
no, no, not much, not much. I have, but he would always, go. They would meet Pandit Kamlal Saraf.
Shamlal Saraf he was a national conference leader. Yeah,
He was minister also, in
yeah.
1953. Yeah, but then differences cropped up between the two because he said that Naya Kashmir is my Gita. So that's the time when my father, started, drifting away that relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Did he because he was a visionary, he was a man with deep sensibilities, deep insights, deep intuition. Did he visualize because the great people, they foresee the things, did he visualize as these things are going to happen in future, that we'll be driven out and something will happen, something unusual happen with this community?
I will tell you that, he would
Yeah.
always, his lifetime, he never built a house of his own.
Oh, I see.
That he would tell everybody of relations, that I'm warning you, you're wasting your money. This is not a place
Oh
for us.
my God. What an understanding, what a vision. Kashmiris were building houses in
No,
new colonies,
no,
like they were
I
spending
built
a lot of
no,
money.
no. I built a house after his death, which I never
Oh,
lived. I never lived in.
he died which
You know,
year? You said just now. Which
19.
year
No,
he
he
died?
died in 1988.
88.
88. Yeah,
Okay. Just two
but
years after 89. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but he had that, in his mind. He would never, said that this is not the place.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
wonderful of him. I mean, you cannot be when you are deep into anything. You are an elevated person, and certainly you have the premonition about this changing scenario which is going to happen.
yeah.
Dull-headed तो कोई होता नहीं. So I certainly think. First of all, I want to ask one more question. How was he as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a family man?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
a very
yes, yes.
personal question.
Yeah, that's it. Uh, I mean, he lived with his parents for many, many
Mm,
years, but then he had to, because of the professional constraint, shift
mm,
to residency road quarters. So then he could not personally look after them. You know,
mm,
uh, the look after was done by my uncle.
mm,
Anyway, as a parent, he, I mean, he loved his children. He loved his children very much.
mm.
But what I say, I mean, okay, this is peace be to his soul. He
Yes.
did not devote much time to his
Mm.
children, you know,
Okay.
like what we see today. In those times, I mean, he could have done better as a father, to see what we are doing vis-a-vis our education and other things. He did not have much time to do that. Yeah. And he
Okay.
did not do
So
that.
clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
I'm being
happens with
very,
the great. It happens with
I'm
the
being
great
very,
public figures.
yeah. But that does not mean that, yeah. But then the other aspect is, when he got time, he looked after my children.
Oh, I
He,
see.
yeah, he would take them to the studios for of this Radio Kashmir for Bachun Ka program and all that.
Okay. You cannot have a.
And
You cannot have
one
a.
aspect,
You,
one aspect of him is he was a Sanat, yes, to the core, but he never went to the temples. He never. I mean, he has gone to Tulamula. I think towards the end of his life, once or twice.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot.
But
You cannot.
whatever little,
Become,
but whatever
yes, please.
little charity he could do, whatever help he could do, he would always be for that. Yeah, for anybody.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And certainly, a personality like that, who's so preoccupied with the public life, it cannot sustain unless and until you have a very great life partner like your mother. He
Oh
might have been
yes,
a
of
source of
course.
strength
She
for.
was she was looking after everything, right from
Hmm.
household and children and all that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Did your father? He was a man with great, wonderful head and heart, and empathy and compassion. Anything you have tried to imbibe from your father about the greatness? It's okay. That's a legacy. But you have tried to imbibe from your father, or some father preached you about
No, no, I have imbibed a lot from him. I have imbibed, that simple life.
simple life.
I'm not as simple as he was, but I am,
Times have changed.
I have imbibed that.
Okay.
Then honesty and integrity. Honesty and integrity, yes, to the core that I have imbibed
Okay.
from him. Yes. It-
You are into the travel industry, so it's a great, wonderful. We came to know many facets about RK Kaksab. So I think we can go on and on him, and there will be n number of sources we need to collect to decipher the entire life of Kaksab and to understand his all aspects of all dimensions of his personality, his write-ups, his talks, his interaction. But then again, now you are his son, you're a proud, illustrious son, and you yourself are a very, very big icon of tourism industry. We'll try to just transit to your life now. Tell us something. I think you are a very great traveler. You have widely traveled, and you are exposed. Tell us something about your travel industry. A bit about your travel industry. Some romanticizing experiences you have about the travels and the business you do.
Uh, yes, initially, when I came into this travel business, it was not by choice. Sorry, it was not by choice. I had thought to be a lecturer or something like that, but it
Okay.
was not by choice.
And,
But once I entered it, this business, I found it very interesting. This gave me an opportunity to travel throughout, the country and to other parts of the world. I have attended so many international travel fairs and all that. Yeah, it has given me and it has taken me to places. I have traveled to Europe and all that. But it has given me an opportunity to travel to a country like Iran.
all right. Wonderful. Great
You
country.
know, yeah.
Once it was a great country. Yeah.
It has given an opportunity to travel to Ukraine. I had been to
Okay.
Ukraine, to go to Kazakhstan and things like that. That is exciting. That's exciting.
That's very
And
exciting.
yeah, and for this, after leaving Kashmir, I found Iran to be, similar flora and fauna, similar fruits, and the chinar trees in Iran, which are not as magnificent, as big as we have in Kashmir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kashmir haunt you?
And
Does
travel
Kashmir
business,
haunt you? Hmm.
sorry,
Yeah, please,
take,
please. You are continuing with your travel plans. Yeah.
so, and it has given an opportunity to meet, many people. I cherish my friendship, my meeting, and then eventual friendship with the famous French journalist Dominique Lapierre.
Array, wonderful. He's
I
my
have,
favorite
I
too. I
have,
read all his books. All his
I have
books I've
traveled.
read.
No, no, I have his books which he has presented to me, autographed.
Oh,
I had the
Jerusalem is Paris burning, Freedom at Midnight, Fifth
privilege,
Horseman.
all
Yeah.
all in my book rack. Yeah.
So you tell us something about this Lapri. Yeah? I'm his fan, die-hard fan.
So,
Yeah.
Dominic Tapier, he was a great friend of India.
Okay.
He helped, the Sundarbans. When he visited
Sundarbans.
Sundarbans, he found people, they had no medical aid and all that. He sold one of his old houses in France and diverted that money for charitable purposes in Sundarbans. That was his,
That's
yeah. And he would
how was he?
every year
How was he as a friend? Oh,
he had a mobile floating hospital in Sundarbans.
that's so wonderful. Great people. Great people.
He was a great man. And his wife,
Talented people.
his wife was, a charming wife whom he also called Little Dominic. She would be
Little Tom.
very helpful to the husband in all charitable works in India. Yeah.
He loved India.
Most of
Yeah, he loved
the
India.
royalty from his books has gone into charity in India.
Most of them. Great.
Yeah.
They're the wonderful people. They're the
And that's
wonderful.
why he was awarded a national award, Padma Shri or what. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, yes. I mean, nowadays Padma Shri तो किसी को भी मिल रहा है आजकल. आगे
नहीं,
पीछे नजर दौड़ा. But Lapri was a very, he has done a lot of
नहीं.
work in India, as you said in Sundarbani. How is he as a person? As a person, your personal relationship, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Sense of humor.
He's now he died very recently. He died last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But very nice person, full of humor, full of wit, and full of
Life.
energy, full of life,
Okay.
full of energy
Great
to
person.
do things. Yeah.
Any anecdote you want to tell about your association with any anecdote, any story you have, you want to share with us you had with Lapri?
No, this was not really mutual, respect for each other, and things, whatever he wanted, he once, I don't know if I have it here, he said that to Madan Kak, a magician.
Okay.
I don't know if I can focus it. Just a
Yeah, yeah,
minute.
please. Please.
I don't know if I
Anything from
can.
Lapri. Anything from
No,
Lapri.
no,
I can wait.
no. I
Don't have?
can't. No, I can't. I'm not. Anyway,
Doesn't
you
matter.
know, he, yeah, he was a very, very, cultured, thorough gentleman.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, and to the point. To the point, straight to the point. Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So you had a great experience and everything. Did Kashmir
Yeah.
ever haunt you?
So many, like I have met, various industry leaders from not only from India but from abroad also. You know,
Okay.
by dint of my position in the travel trade. Yeah, I
That's
have,
so good.
I had, I recall my meeting with the late J.R.D. Tata when he was the chairman of Air India. Yeah,
Another great man. Another wonderful
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Tatas were great. They have done a lot of contribution for this country. Anyway, thank you very much. A last question before we this end this
Yeah.
discussion and conversation, interaction rather. So, would you like to? I mean, does Kashmir haunt you? Does the memories of Kashmir or motherland, our motherland is entire India, and nowadays
The
Vasudev
two
Kutum, entire
the
India is ours.
of coin now. Jugalji, these are two sides of a coin now.
Okay.
I think I don't have to say more.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Madanji. You came to this Shitalath conversation. We had a very hearty, interactive session. We want to go on and on in a personality like R.K. Kak Sahab. Maybe in near future, this is what we could do in a very small and humble way in conversations, Shitalath conversations. I did my duty, but certainly I'm looking forward for more knowledge, more information about the life and times of Kak Sahab. And thank you very much. It was your greatness that you came. We had a very nice, very wonderful, very hearty, and a very warm conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Pleasure.
very much.
Best wishes.
Thank you again. Thanks very much for giving
Thanks.
me an
Thanks.
opportunity to be on Sheetalnath Conversations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Pleasure. So that was Madan Kak, proud son of the illustrious journalist, claimed journalist from Kashmir, R.K. Kak Sahab. I think it was a very, very, brainstorming, heart-storming session. We came through many, many wonderful anecdotes, although they were very brief, but they had in those brief stories, the brief narratives, we had entire, dimensions of those times hidden. So take is all ours. What did we look and perceive from those wonderful anecdotes? So it was, I think I enjoyed every bit of it. And thank you very much that you all glued into this program, and you are all wonderful, esteemed admirers of Seedal of Conversations. We'll continue this humble effort, humble endeavor in future to talk about our backyards, men and matters, people, place, harmony, love, affection, And that's what I mean. It's my agenda as well. I think we must love everyone. We must talk about good days. We must talk about harmony, and that's what we can say. But before I go, I conclude the session of today. I would like to again cite a Ghalib couplet. ये कहाँ की दोस्ती है, ये कहाँ की दोस्ती है कि बने हैं दोस्त नशी, ये कहाँ की दोस्ती है कि बने हैं दोस्त नशी, कोई चारा साज होता, कोई गम गुसार होता. Thank you very much for being with us. And we'll meet again next Sunday with another wonderful program, brainstorming, heartstorming. Thanks a lot. Good night.